Throughout the last century, the NFL Stadium has been a central landmark for communities across the country, connecting fans through their shared passion for the game of football. But during the last 18 months, one of the most challenging times in our nation's history, amongst empty seats and unusual silence, NFL clubs transformed their stadiums into beacons of hope, all in new ways. A place to cast a vote in a consequential election, receive a vaccination against a deadly virus, or pick up a warm meal for a family in need during trying times.
We all know that NFL teams have tremendous platform to shed light on significant matters and use their resources to make a difference.
We have an incredibly important platform that we can use to make a positive impact in our communities. At the Vikings, that's something we focus on every day at every level of our organization.
Since June 2020, we've done 1,000 meals out of our stadium each day and also work with minority-owned businesses to help them through COVID-19. And our goal was to provide support, hope, and humanity through this time and also be a great steward in our community.
Early on in 2020, stadiums quickly became COVID-19 testing sites while extraordinary measures were launched to support communities during widespread shortages of PPE.
Shortly after the pandemic started, the governor of Massachusetts called Jonathan Kraft with the problem. The state of Massachusetts had masks that were in China that needed to be brought back to New England. And Jonathan reached out and said, can our plane do this? And the short answer was yes. We landed in Shenzhen, and with the help of the amazing people on the ground, we completely filled our plane with PPE. When it landed, to see the look on the people's faces at the airport, we had delivered 1.2 million masks to the state of Massachusetts. You could feel a real community uplift.
As the pandemic raged on, in February 2021, Commissioner Goodell vowed to work with federal government to ensure each NFL team would make its stadium available for mass vaccinations as needed.
We were approached by FEMA to be considered for one of the vaccine sites. We jumped in with both feet to open up Ford Field again to provide a safe site given social distancing. And we did almost 275,000 vaccinations over the several weeks that we opened up the stadium. It was another easy thing to do. I think I said at the time that it was maybe one of the most important, if not the most important thing that we ever hosted at Ford Field.
Delivering 800,000 vaccinations is a massive achievement and a result of an incredible collaboration from all of our partners in the public and the private sector. Like on-field success, there's no doubt it made a difference in this community, and I know that's something we all take tremendous pride in.
We've been partnering with the state of Minnesota, with the Department of Health, as they've rolled out vaccination clinics, and we hosted a number of them at our facilities at TCO Performance Center, at US Bank Stadium, and currently during our preseason games.
The Vikings have been incredible partners. They immediately turned to what could they do for Minnesota. Opening up the TCO facility, we were able to bring in our partners in the vaccination, use the Minnesota National Guard. I think it felt really good for them to be vaccinated right on the field where the Vikings practiced, so it was incredibly helpful.
In all, over the course of only 5 months, 4.8 million vaccinations were administered across 22 NFL stadiums and facilities, with the NFL family contributing over $100 million to COVID-19 relief efforts.
What's that feel like, Mr. Buettner?
I didn't notice. Has it happened yet?
The last year and a half was also a time of emotionally charged social justice reckoning in every community across the country, bringing with it an expanded commitment to the NFL's Inspire Change cause and fight for racial equality.
When George Floyd was tragically murdered last summer, it hit home for all of us. I mean, it's a tragic, senseless death in our community, literally in our backyard down the street from our stadium. And for us, we had a number of conversations trying to understand what's important, where are people coming from, and just listening and trying to understand our players, members of our community, members of our alumni, our legends, how they were feeling and where they thought we should be spending our efforts as an organization. We've had a social justice committee of players for a number of years. We have a diversity and inclusion council of our staff members. Those were incredibly important voices to share recommendations for us. And we've taken a number of steps, really focused on voter education and registration, curriculum on racism and Black history, as well as law enforcement and criminal justice reform.
The NFL has a unique platform. When we do things, it draws attention to items that maybe wouldn't be as available to other organizations, and we try and take advantage of that and bring attention to those things that we think are really important in the community. We have really started to focus most of our community efforts on children in Detroit and giving them, a chance to move up and be part of society. We've focused on a lot of organizations that work on youth in Detroit, and I think that we've started to make a big difference that way.
We believe that sport has always been and will always be a catalyst for social change. It's important to use the platforms that we have to make sure that the voices are heard, and that when it comes to social change and important issues in the community, we use every mechanism and every means that we have to be able to spread the word.
Last season, while social justice advocacy remained center stage, NFL Votes was initiated as a way for all members of the NFL family to take part in the democratic process of voting.
The Falcons Rise Up and Vote initiative really started with our Falcons Player-Led Social Justice Committee. The goal was to get as many people in the Atlanta community out there and registered to vote, as well as getting them out to the polls.
More than 65,000 ballots were cast at 16 NFL stadiums across the country.
Adding Ford Field as a ballot counting facility the night of the election was something that just seemed natural to us. Obviously, with the square footage of the stadium, the need for social distancing because of COVID, and the difficulties of counting enough ballots, especially with all the mail-in ballots that occurred last year, it just seemed natural to open up Ford Field for that purpose. We were happy to do it and happy to participate in a successful election.
The heartbeat of NFL stadiums will always be the people of our communities. As we kick off the biggest season ever and look to the future, all 32 clubs together will continue to build, support, innovate, and imagine.
We feel that we can provide hope. We feel we can provide inspiration, but also opportunity, whether the economic impact of the events we bring in, but also the ability to have our players, our coaches, and our staff be intentionally impacting the community through food relief programs, through community activities.
Gillette Stadium has always been a place where people can come to forget about their troubles.
Our vision for State Farm Stadium was always to make it more than just a place to play football games. From the beginning, we recognized its potential to impact the community in meaningful ways. Certainly that vision came to life during the pandemic.